started? I am Ruben Aurelio, Superintendent of Vallejo City Unified School District. Thank you for being here this evening. I see my high school students are here getting their credit. Good job. Uh, yes, that's right. Tonight is our final town hall session prior to the December board meeting where decisions will be made. Just to give a recap of the format this evening, I'm going to go through a presentation, provides an update in where we're at in the closure process, how we got here, and then open up. You'll see the microphones on the ground for comments and questions from those who are joining us this evening. So, and you see on the screen, these are the norms. We know this is an emotional topic. It's a difficult topic for everyone, including me up on the stage. We don't want to close schools. That is something that we are. I didn't come to be a superintendent to close schools, but it is something that we are faced with as a district, and I'll explain why we're there and why we're going through this process. We can go to the next slide, please. So briefly, just to provide some context, we're calling this phase 2 because we've already had a first phase of school closures. Last school year, we did close Mare Island Health and Fitness Academy and Loma Vista, but we find it necessary to move into a second phase of potential school closures. What you see on the screen are the 7 schools that were identified last spring by the governing board for us to analyze to see which of these schools, if any, we would be recommending for school closures. The school list includes 6 elementary schools and the continuation high school education complex, that John Finney Education Complex. Now, just to clarify, we're not looking at closing the John Finney Education Complex. The potential impact on that school would be a relocation of that program and of those programs. Next slide, please. Sorry, I can't really see it, so I'm going to open it up on my screen here. So just to provide some logistics around a decision that will be made. So during the summer, there was a committee that was formed, which is called the 7-Eleven Committee. And that committee specifically looked at these 7 school programs, provided a recommendation on the use of those properties and potential use of those properties in the future. Those recommendations were accepted by the board. Those recommendations are part of the data and information that the governing board will use in determining and making a decision by December. In addition to that, the governing board requested an equity impact analysis report be conducted. That report has gone through a draft phase and actually will be presented in final format tomorrow evening at the regular governing board meeting. Now, that report analyzed these 7 schools specifically and the impact they would have on closing or moving, and there was different indicators that were looked at, everything from transportation, racial demographic makeup of the schools, the communities they serve. That report, like I mentioned, will be given to the board tomorrow evening in final form. They will take action on accepting the report. Just to be clear, the action that they take tomorrow evening is not a decision to close schools, it's just to accept the final report. In December, the governing board will be taking a look at the resolutions. We will be bringing forward specifically 7 different resolutions, 1 for each of these schools, and the board will determine at that point whether to close a school, leave a school alone, or relocate a school. So that decision will be in December on the December 17th board meeting. I can't see that. I think I need new glasses. Okay, so moving along. So other things to consider. So as we've held these town hall sessions, we've heard from the community, and there have been certain topics that have come up and questions that have come up. Specifically, one that we hear often is when you close schools and say consolidate schools, bring schools together, is that going to impact the class sizes? Because you think if you're closing one school, these class sizes would increase. The reality is that class size is not driven by that process. It's actually driven by our contract language that we have with our teachers union. We have hard caps for specific class size. That does not change regardless of the number of students we add to a campus. So as schools either consolidate or we close a school, students and teachers will travel. So if we add an additional 100 students at a campus, we're going to add the subsequent number of teachers to ensure that every class is covered and that we meet those class sizes. Before and after school care is not going to be impacted at the schools that would be receiving additional students. Now, if we close a school, of course, the program that existed at that school would close with it. So the after school program or before school program would close as well. At the new schools or receiving schools, they all have after school programs. Every one of our elementary schools have a program available. The other question that we hear quite often is, my students is receiving special education services. They have an IEP. Those services always remain with the students. We are mandated to provide those services. If your child is in a specialized classroom, a special day class, who receive moderate or severe attention, those classrooms will continue to exist within our district. We might be relocating some of those classrooms to different campuses, but we will still provide those services to students. Those services are driven by their individualized education plan, and we're mandated to provide those. Next slide, please. Okay. So some of the goals that we've held in this process, we are, in addition to right-sizing the district, we've talked about having too many schools for the student population that we serve. We also know we wanted to be able to concentrate our resources, that we sometimes spread our resources thin when we have so many different campuses working. Some schools that are at 100 students, we have some schools at 200 students, we have some schools at upwards of 600 and 700 students. So we have a broad range of schools. So we know that concentrating our schools also gives us opportunity to concentrate the program improvements, so we can offer more targeted support to our schools if there's less of them. And it's really about right-sizing with our population. There is a fiscal component to this. We probably wouldn't be standing here if that fiscal component wasn't the reality we face. We are looking at a structural deficit that has occurred over a handful of years. We are looking at identifying one out of our next year's school budget, over $15 million in reductions, with an additional 16.5 the following year. So a combined $32 million in reductions over a 2-year span. That is something that is extremely challenging for any governing board to do, or any organization to have to reduce a total budget of roughly $200 million by $30 million. So I do get asked why are we closing more schools if we closed 2 schools last year? And unfortunately, as we try to predict what will happen in out years, we had different information when we started this process in phase 1. What we have learned since then is that we didn't go far enough in phase 1, which is why we were driven to a phase 2 process. My ultimate goal is that I'm not standing on this stage next year talking about a phase 3. That we can get to a point where we right the ship when it comes to our finances, our programs, and we're not having these conversations next year talking about school year 27, 28. That we address what we need to address this year, moving into 26, 27, and that we're at that point talking about growing and building programs. So this is a graph that shows what has happened to our district-wide enrollment over the past 5 years. And if that trajectory remained the same, you see that it really takes a dive. We are trying to address that declining enrollment. There are different factors that contribute to this. We've had families move away. We've had choices. We know we compete with our local charter schools. We also have competed in the past with neighboring school districts. Those are all factors that play into why this decline has occurred. Next slide, please. This is an important slide to show. Going back to around pre-COVID era, the bottom line that's pointed downwards shows that our enrollment has decreased by about 20% or more over that span of time. Coupled with that, we've increased staffing levels. So these two slides, or these two graphs, the three different lines, should all be facing the same direction, and they haven't been. And different factors contributed to that. We were coming out of the pandemic. There was additional funding that was provided at the time. We were asked to build programs and supports for our students, considering, it was a pandemic that we came out of, and so we were providing additional supports. That supports came in that included staffing levels that increased. We are not alone as a school district in trying to correct this now. That funding source that came with COVID is now spent and long gone. We don't have those dollars in our system anymore. And so we have to get to a point where our enrollment matches the staffing levels we have. If you joined me previously, this is an updated dashboard. California dashboard is the indicators that show progress of a school district. Very proud to say we've showed improvements in our academic indicators. So we've moved out of the red and orange when it comes to English language arts and mathematics. We're in the yellow range. And we also moved to the yellow range on the college and career indicator. This is really positive momentum for a district that is continuing to push. There is great work happening at each one of our schools. And this is just an example of that work that's the push is getting us to. So we mentioned the fiscal challenges. I've talked about a couple of these items already, the end of pandemic relief money, money following students. So when I mentioned that we're competing with neighboring school districts, when a family transfers their child to, say, American Canyon or Benicia or Fairfield, or even across the bridge to Contra Costa, they take the funding with them. Those students are traveling. Each child that leaves our district, we lose somewhere between $14,000 and $16,000, $17,000 per pupil. So imagine if you lose 100 students, how much you're losing, or if you lose 1,000 students, how much you're losing. There's a real direct line between the number of students who have left our district and where we're at financially. The other factor is attendance. So the state of California doesn't just fund us based on the enrollment, the number of students we have and serve. They fund us on the number of students who show up every day at school. So when we have lower attendance rates, that impacts the funding we receive. We still have to staff for the number of students we serve total, but we're only funded at the percentage of average daily attendance. For us, that's roughly hovered around 89%. So if you receive $15,000, $16,000 per pupil, you're technically only receiving 89% of that. But you still have to pay for the people you serve and the staff you have and the lights and everything else that's included in running a school district. So we encourage our families. That's why we have these attendance campaigns. Every day in school matters, not just for the academic performance of students, but also financially for a school district and what we can offer at those school programs. We are really proud of the work that's occurred over the last few years. We were a district under state receivership. So about 20 years ago, this district was in financial distress and they needed to take a loan from the state of California to keep the lights on, technically. And that was a $60 million loan that we did pay back in full with interest as of about a year and a half ago now. In June, we officially exited state receivership, gaining full local control. We no longer have a fiscal trustee, someone who comes to every meeting of the school board and has the power to override the school board. We are now standing alone in that work. And the importance of a school board, the elected school board, is that they have fiscal responsibility of a district. They need to ensure they're making the decisions to keep us solvent and out of losing local control. Okay, next slide, please. So we talked about the economic changes, the social changes, what's impacted a community like Vallejo. We know that we have lower rates of birth rates in our community. We know the impact that the cost of living has had and housing, not only in Vallejo, but the Bay Area. We've had families move out of California as well. And all of that has contributed to the changes we're seeing. This is another number that's important. When we began studying the impact of the declining enrollment, what we found is that we are only utilizing district-wide 51% of available classroom spaces. Now, we have adjusted these numbers over time. Part of the data that we've been providing the governing board this fall is really looking at each school, physically going room by room, ensuring that if this is a space that could be a classroom, we count it. If it's a space that isn't a classroom, we're not counting that. So this number needs to be adjusted a little bit from when we started this work. But we know that we have priorities. We've talked about this with the governing board. For example, every one of our schools has a library. We're going to keep libraries in schools. We're not trying to remove those. Even though they could be a classroom space, they're not going to be classroom space. Another priority is the wellness spaces. Each of our schools has a classroom that's dedicated as a wellness space. And those spaces will remain. So we don't count those in the equation that we're looking at. We also know that we have some school buildings that are old or maybe shouldn't be used as classrooms anymore. So we're factoring all of that into the equation now as we go school by school to make sure that our district is maximizing the space. Another factor with classroom spaces that are used, we had a luxury of being able to use all these spaces. So I hear a lot from the community, well, we use every space. So 51% doesn't make sense. We use every space, but every space is not used as a classroom. But if we have adults or students in a classroom space at any given point in that day, there are operating costs associated with maintaining that space, with cleaning that space. All of that contributes to the bottom line of our budget. So we have to kind of reduce that footprint so we are truly using every dollar appropriately. So the things we've worked on in trying to stop us, oh, what happened? Oh. Sorry, you threw me off on the slides. Okay. So what have we done to try to avoid this situation? I mentioned earlier the impact that school transfers have. So this past year's cycle, we changed policies, we tightened our policies. In line with education code, we're applying the power we have as a district to say no, essentially. We are able to say to families who request transfers out of our district, sorry, no, you can't leave, you need to contribute, you need to come to a Vallejo school. What's happened in the past is we've allowed our families to just kind of go and leave. And our neighboring districts have no problem taking our students. As I mentioned earlier, revenue travels with them. So they're building programs on the backs of Vallejo families and students. So we've said no. We have locked that door as tightly as we possibly can to make sure our Vallejo community commits to Vallejo schools, because that's the only way we're going to improve our schools as well, is getting the backing of this community. We've also really focused on data-driven decisions. Hopefully you're all here because you've seen communication. We work on being as transparent as possible to provide you all the information necessary. We have been talking about school closures since last spring. We did work over the summer, we did work this fall. As I mentioned, this is the final town hall prior to a decision, and we've had 4 town hall sessions this fall alone in communicating what we're working on and why we're here. I mentioned the cap on transfers. Sorry. Previously, we closed some school sites, so all these things have contributed to the work we're trying to do to avoid any future decisions. Like I said, we're in phase 2. We really want to avoid having to have this kind of conversation again next year. Just a little history walk. School closures is not something or unfamiliar to Vallejo. Going back to, I want to say 2003, you can see the list of schools in the second column that have closed in that time. There was a point that Vallejo Unified School District had over 23,000 students. Currently today, we have around 9,600 students. That is very significant. And we have closed schools in the past. Some schools were repurposed. They either became other schools, they might have become charter schools. I think one that people, you know, all of these were painful, but people still talk about, because I run into the community members, how many Hogan Spartans are there? Any Hogan Spartans in the room? Yeah, there's one back there, yeah. People, that was a high school. That was one of our high schools, and we closed a high school at one point. We currently have 3 high schools, 2 comprehensive and 1 continuation high school. And we want to avoid that situation. We don't want to get to a point where we have to close more high schools. We need to continue to build programs, strengthen the schools we have, and get our community to buy in to Vallejo City so that we see the growth. We're seeing our kindergartners, we're seeing our transitional kindergarten programs, those are growing. We gotta keep that momentum going so that they matriculate up into the middle and high school levels. So I get asked, what can the community do to help? Getting the word out is really important. Showing up like you have today. And I hope that you're ready to contribute some ideas, some comments, and ask questions. Staying engaged is really important. Encouraging your neighbors, if they have school-aged children, to give Vallejo a shot. Think Vallejo first before they take their kid to a charter school or a Catholic school or a private school or even attempt to go to a neighboring school district. To give our schools a shot, visit our schools, ask for a tour, stay engaged. Those are really important. On the statewide level, there's always ways to speak to legislators and say, hey, schools need better funding or more funding. Maybe you shouldn't fund based on average daily attendance. Maybe you should fund based on enrollment. Those are things ways that the community can contribute. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next slide, please. Maybe? No? There we go. So I do want to open this up. I'm going to ask the executive cabinet to join me up on the stage, and we're going to give the community an opportunity to ask questions, share stories, give us comments. I know I have some school board members in the room. They're here, they're listening. They've been a part of this journey with us. All of these meetings have been recorded. I know they love watching them at home. I don't know if they do, but we've been keeping them engaged in this process, and they're extremely engaged in hearing from the community. So this is your opportunity. We're going to give you a chance. You just walk up to a microphone if you're ready, and you can tell us who you are, why you're here, if you're here for a specific school, and then give us the feedback. Let us know either a question because you want us to answer something, or tell us your story, why it matters, why you're here, what's important and invaluable about the school you represent. Okay? Thank you. Let me introduce the team that's on the stage. So starting closest to me is Assistant Superintendent Heather Topacio, and she is the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. We have our Director of Communications, Selena Baguiao. We have our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Matthew Chamberlain. And we have our Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations, Ruben Fernandez. Okay. Anyone want to go first?
Good evening. My name is Lori Tackmeyer, and I've been with this district longer than a lot of people sitting up on that stage. I was here when there were 23,000 students and a lot less people downtown. I was here when they closed most of those schools, and Cave is still not on that list. I sat in Cave when it was closed. I've lived through these things that a lot of other people haven't. And I look out at this audience tonight, and I see us pitted against each other. I see school against school. I see people wearing Save Our School shirts, which hurts my heart. I think VCUSD first. I am an advocate for our community. I am an advocate for our students. And yet I see us pitting each other against each other. You drive by Cooper and they got this big banner, Save Our School. They have our children's stories out there. Our schools are feeling the exact same thing. Every school on that list is feeling hurt, is feeling disenfranchised, is feeling unloved and uncared about. Because that's how we felt at Cave when you closed us. Not you, but you know. I have fought for our students for 26 years. I have fought superintendents, I have fought Dr. Bishop, I've fought state controllers, and yet it never really seems to make a difference. They seem to be just a number to our district. And I'm kind of tired of that. I get that we have to close schools. I get that we have to reduce our numbers. I get that we have to save money. But I don't think it has to be as close to the school sites as it is. We have more directors, we have more admin, we have more people downtown than when we had 22,000 students. We don't see or hear those cuts. We don't see or hear that impact. And for my heart and for my children, that matters. So I stand here, I've come to every single one of these meetings, and I see my school's better than your school, my school has this, your school has that, my school, and the reality is we're all great schools. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel VCUSD first when I sit and look at those numbers. It doesn't feel children first.
Good evening, Melvin Blair. How you guys doing? My name is Melvin Blair. My children attend Cooper Elementary. Going to what the lady said, I hate to put us against each other also, and that's not my aim here. I'm just a new resident to Vallejo. I moved here a couple years ago with the intentions of sending my kids to school. Moved out here, and my wife was pregnant with our twins. I love my house. I just brought it, and I said, oh, wow, there's a school right across the street from me. My kids are going to go there, and that was my plans when I moved here. Again, my kids do now attend Cooper Elementary. They're in the TK program now there. So my biggest thing was from last time, you all were saying that it sounded like, and it kind of registered me to after I left. Do you guys say that you haven't made a plan on what schools are going to close or whatnot? But my thing is this: you also said that you plan to move the. I'm sorry, I forgot the name, but it's
John Finney.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is the plan already done? Because you kind of said it in like words. You use the words that's where that school is going to go. So. Is Cooper already off the slate, or what's the problem?
So I can answer that. So I have to give a recommendation. So since the summer, I've named certain schools based on the information I have that I would recommend for closure. Cooper is on that list as a recommendation for closure. That doesn't mean that's the school that will close, because I don't get to make that decision. The school board's taking everything into consideration, including the recommendations that the team makes. One of those recommendations is about relocating John Finney, but there are options. Mm-hmm. If Cooper doesn't close, John Finney could relocate potentially to a different site. So there's a lot of different configurations.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
We can't just on a whim decide. We have to plan everything out, right?
Completely
all
agree
the
with
contingencies
you.
for all
the different. It was
just
the way you said
scenarios.
It was like, yeah. Cooper, this will turn into this one. I was like, oh, well, then are we,
right?
Are we on a lost cause?
There's different versions and contingencies, and that's part of the challenge. Okay. And part of the things that the school board will have to deliberate about is what is the best or worse. I mean, however you want to think about it.
I understand that. Yeah,
have
yeah.
some tough
It was just
calls
the
to
way you
make.
said it. It had me a little confused because
Right.
it sounded like Cooper was the one that you wanted for that school. So, other than that, thank you. That was my one question.
thank you.
So, thanks.
We also, just so we know, we're live streaming this, and so we do have some people commenting online. I think we have an online comment.
You can go ahead.
We can have the comment.
Yes. We have a couple of comments. One is in Spanish, and I believe what he's saying is his name is Luis Amescua, and he's a father of 3 children and accompanies them to Federal Terrace Elementary. And that was the comment.
Okay.
The second comment is, my name is Priscilla Colley. My question is, what does the plan look like when Pennycook closes down? I'm a mom of a student who goes to Pennycook, and I've noticed that a lot of parents, including myself, walk our students to Pennycook. How will you provide transportation for students who live far from the schools that are open? I have been in the school district since I was 3 years old.
Okay. Do I have anyone from the team that wishes to answer that one?
So one of the biggest parts of the study, the impact equity analysis study that we did over the past several months, has been transportation. So our transportation director has been in direct contact with the firm that's putting together that report and looking at every route, every pickup that we currently have, and evaluating how that will impact those students, how many there are, and giving us the groundwork to make that plan to provide those services. We've been investing some dollars, non-general fund dollars that can be used for salaries into our transportation department, trying to make sure that we're ready to serve those students in the coming years, and more immediately in the months that are coming after the summer. So one of the benefits to a December decision timeline for these closures and consolidations is that we have more time to plan for that. And so this is at the top of our list for priorities.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go back. I don't know who was next. Okay.
Hello, my name is Dwight Barnes. I am 72 years of age. My family came to Vallejo in 1961, and everybody in my family has been educated through the Vallejo Unified School District system, everyone. I am the great uncle of a kindergarten student at Cooper Elementary. Cooper Elementary provides multicultural and multi-ethnic diversity for us, not only as an educational system, but as a societal proponent. The more we can be involved with people who are different than we are, the better we can all come together in unity of purpose. That is why I would like to see Cooper remain as Cooper. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es Nancy Maldonado Pérez y me gustaría referirme a ustedes en español para apoyar aquí a toda nuestra comunidad hispana que habla español, latina. Soy coordinadora del programa Después de Escuela en Federal Terrace. Hay muchas preguntas que desafortunadamente no tengo la respuesta para nuestras familias, nuestros padres de familia. Una de las preguntas es, ¿qué solución les tienen como en la transportación? Porque en nuestra escuela demasiados muchos niños y niñas y familias caminan a la escuela. Nuestra escuela es nuestra única escuela en esa parte de la ciudad. Sería algo muy triste que cerraran la escuela, que espero que eso no pase. Y estoy aquí, como digo, para hablar por toda la comunidad hispana, no solamente sobre nuestra escuela Federal Terrace, sino de todas las demás escuelas. ¿Qué solución les tienen en ese aspecto? Otro punto que me han estado preguntando, y también soy mamá de 2 gemelos que son de 6º grado. Estoy tratando de disfrutar mi último año con ellos en esa escuela. ¿Qué tan seguro es de que yo tengo ahorita 96 niños en el programa? Para mí es un logro porque el año pasado tuvimos alrededor de 80. Ahorita subió un gran monto, ¿no? Entonces, ¿qué tan seguro o qué porcentaje les aseguran ustedes que esos 96 niños van a ser aceptados en otra escuela en ese programa, después de escuela? Porque yo sé que hay un límite de niños al que pueden aceptar cada escuela. Esa es otra pregunta que muchos padres de familia tienen. No cierren nuestras escuelas. Nuestras escuelas no solamente son un edificio, es el corazón de toda nuestra comunidad, de nuestro barrio, de nuestro neighborhood. No cierren ninguna escuela. Gracias.
Gracias. So the two questions I heard, one specifically around Federal Terrace and our families asking about with transportation, because many of the families who attend Federal Terrace, their students walk to and from school. If Federal Terrace were to close, what will we offer around transportation? The second question was specifically around after-school programming, and Federal Terrace has 96 or 97, wasn't exactly sure, number of students who attend the after-school program. What guarantee would they have if their school closed and they were attending a new school that they would be able to continue in the after-school programming? I don't know, do either of you want to answer some of that?
I can start with the transportation question. If you've had an opportunity to read the publicly available report, the equity impact analysis, Federal Terrace had the highest impact to transportation services for students, as in the farthest distance they would need to be transported to an alternative school if it were to close. And so Federal Terrace would be, if it is on the closure list, will be the biggest challenge we'll have in finding transportation services for students.
Regarding expanded learning programs, all of our elementary and K-8 campuses have expanded learning programs, and we staff those programs based on the need that we have at that school site. So those students who participate in expanded learning programs at Federal Terrace or another school would be eligible to receive those services at the new campus, and we would need to either move staff from Federal Terrace to serve those students or hire additional staff in order to meet the expected ratios of that program. As you know, for our youngest students, the ratio of support is 10-1. For older students, 20-1. So we would need to have the staff to support. As a school district who has a high percentage of students who are identified as unduplicated, meaning that there's a lower income, English learner, foster youth, it means that we are required to provide supportive services in expanded learning, a 9-hour school day to any student who needs that, and or provide those services on one of our non-school days. So supportive services in the area of expanded learning is available to all families, and the only thing that holds us back is finding enough staffing. So if any kid is on a waiting list, it's because we're seeking staff, but that is the only barrier.
We do have some online chats. Let's see if we can get one, and then we'll come back to the in-person. So if we can get the online.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple more comments. One person says, it seems that the issue is financial. I'm aware that a percentage of homeowner taxes go to schools. Is there any requirement for surrounding businesses to contribute to schools in the city that they occupy?
We're going to have our business person answer that one.
Yeah, direct fees on businesses don't necessarily equate to dollars for the school district. However, when a developer comes and builds homes or even builds commercial buildings in our city. We do receive what's called developer fees, which those dollars can be used for things specific to growth or things specific to facilities. We can't use those for salaries and benefits, teachers, support staff, custodians. We can't use those dollars for that. So we use them in different ways, and we'll improve our campuses, the facilities of our campus with those dollars.
And the other online comment or question?
Okay, and then we have another comment in Spanish, which we will have interpreted.
Okay, we'll come back.
Hi, good afternoon. I am supporting Federal Terrace. I have 3 kids at this school. It saddens me to know that Federal Terrace is in the probability of closure. Federal Terrace is a school with a lot of opportunities. Please do not close Federal Terrace.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Who is next?
And that was from Sylvia Lopez.
Thank you.
Good evening, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to start off by speaking about myself. Back in 1977, my dad brought me and my sister to this school district. My grandmother, Muriel Young, owned a secondhand garage sale on the corner of Sonoma and Nebraska, right across the street from where AutoZone is now. She sold baby furniture to the service people that would transfer in and out. So that's where I first lived when I came here. I walked to school from Nebraska and Sonoma, straight up Sonoma Boulevard to Lincoln Elementary School every day. And during that walk, I lived on the opposite side of Lincoln. I would cross the street at Florida and cross over because there used to be a mural on Sonoma Boulevard on Lincoln Elementary School that showed the transition of when Vallejo was first founded all the way through to where it was currently. Someone decided to advocate and have that mural painted over. Now there's flowers there. Doesn't say anything about Vallejo. That was one of the positive points for me coming to that school every day. A few months later, my dad moved me into the alleyway of Lincoln Elementary School, right in the middle. When I open up my front door, I'm looking at the small playground when there was just monkey bars, a swing set, and giant tractor tires to play on. So I played on that playground for the 6 years that I went to that school. That school has been in here for 163 years. And during that time, that school has been on the chopping block multiple times throughout those years. Prior to the one you gave here, how far back? If you go back further, they were on that chopping block for declining enrollment. This is not the first time. But there's one thing that Lincoln School holds over every other school in this community. That is the first elementary school, that is the first middle school, that is the first high school. This school that we're standing in today, Vallejo High School, was incepted and born out of Lincoln Elementary School. So if it wasn't for Lincoln Elementary School, there would be no Vallejo High School. Lincoln Elementary School has a literacy program that is doing good things. Now, a school named after the president, 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, who gave his life for writing a document, signing a documentation for the Emancipation Proclamation, which opened the door 2 years later to abolish slavery. And what that means is to give diversity and equity to all the schools and everybody in the community. It's a great place for a literacy program. It should not be moved. There's other schools in the United States who were founded at the same time Lincoln Elementary School. You got, let me get to my notes. You got, let me make sure I get this right. You got Lincoln University in Missouri, University. Good thing to do there. You got Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, a public historically black university. Both of those schools are doing great things. There's other schools with the name of Lincoln that are all up here. And when I'm asking whoever's gonna make this decision to think about, so we ain't got the penny no more. So now the smallest change you're gonna have in your pocket is a nickel. Who's on the nickel? Mr. Abraham Lincoln. Who's on your $5 bill? Mr. Abraham Lincoln. Each and every one of us in the United States, across this world, is being reminded how he got there, what he did to get on that money. We ain't none of us ever gonna be on no money. We ain't that important, but he's a very important man. He's on Mount Rushmore. He's got the Lincoln Memorial, and there's no better place to have a literacy program in any community than a school named after the President of the United States, 16th, Lincoln. Now, I personally went over to that school, talked to family members, talked to staff members, and the atmosphere there is they don't have no hope. They are under the impression that that school is gonna close. That's all I hear. Pretty sure all the other schools feel the same way. But that school was given to the community to remain an educational institution. It has been through a fire. It has been torn down and rebuilt 4 times. There's no other school in this school district that has made it through that much. Now, we're here again today with that school at the top of the list. That school, by closing it, will have the least amount of impact on the fiscal part of this situation. From what I read, it's only gonna save $600,000. Now, you got 2 parts to that school. So now I'm gonna give the solution part to say that school. If you're only using half of the school, you got that other half that you can use for something else. And when that program is working at that school, that's a program that not needs to be moved, but needs to be implemented at other school sites. So that the black and brown community, the school with the biggest black and brown population, can be saved. Their black and brown population is bigger than any school, charter, public, private, I don't care which one you look at. It has the top. And by closing that school, you're taking a piece of the cookie that belongs to them and giving it to somebody else. You cannot, if anybody wants to try to go into a classroom with a bag of cookies and you got 30 cookies and there's 31 kids up in there and one kid ain't gonna get that cookie, you can't do that. You have to be fair. The reason why that school has a such black and brown population, because of the approximation where that school is. There is a big black and brown population there, which is in 4 to 5 block walking distance to that school. There is no transportation hangups you have to deal with. They don't need it because they live right there. You have other people in the churches around Lincoln School, is coming in supporting that school. There's everybody around there is rooting for that school. To close that school and put that school at the top of that list like that, that's the foundation of the education system in this community. Without that school, none of these schools exist. Zero, obsolete, zero, zilch. So what I'm asking you today is to try to come up with a better solution to save that small $600,000 out of a $200 million budget so that we can continue to uphold Mr. Abraham Lincoln's name, uphold literacy in this community, and expand what the great things that they have going on there. And I'm gonna end it with one thing I like to say. The way I like to spell Vallejo is V, capital A, capital L, L, E-J-O. All Vallejo. Don't disenfranchise that school that has been that school should be a historical monument. That's what we should be talking about today with that school. So I'm asking whoever is going to make this decision, I will be at the school board fighting again for that school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Samaniego, and I teach transitional kindergarten in Cooper Elementary School. I am here tonight not just as a teacher, but as a person who sees the heart, the spirit, and the resilience of our youngest learners every single day. Last year, when Loma Vista was closed, there were a lot of families and students who were uprooted. They had to say goodbye to their teachers, their classrooms, and the familiar routines that made them feel safe. When they came to Cooper, they came with big feelings, uncertainty, and the hope that this would finally be a home where they could stay. We welcomed them with open arms. We reassured worried parents. We helped children adjust to new faces, to new classrooms, and new teachers. Everything new. It took time and love, but eventually they settled in. They built friendships. They felt safe. They began to thrive. And now, only 1 year later, we are talking about closing their school again, displacing them again, asking them to start all over again. As a TK teacher, I see every day how deeply children attached to their school environment. Their classroom is their safe place. Their routines make them feel secure. Their teachers are their anchors. When we disrupt all of that, especially for children that are so young, and especially for children who already went through this once, it creates fear, confusion, and emotional stress that can last for beyond the move. We understand the budgetary and logistical pressures that you face. But we ask you to please, this is my second time to beg. This is my second time to beg, to please make your decision not through the lens of spreadsheets and numbers, but on the lens of the children and the families whose lives would be affected. Behind every number is a child's face, a child's story, a family's trying their best, a community that is holding on. Cooper Elementary is not just a building, it is a community that has already absorbed one displaced school. It is a place where students who experience our uncertainty that have finally found stability and connection. It is a place where families feel welcomed and seen. And it is a place where teachers show up with love, dedication, and a deep commitment to every student who walked through our doors. So our students deserve stability. They deserve continuity. And they deserve the chance to keep the school they have grown to trust and love. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
We're gonna take some online ones real quick. So we can get the online comments or questions. And then you'll be next.
This comment is from Silvia Lopez. Federal Terrace is a marvelous school. Their staff is very efficient. My students have progressed a lot, even though that they do not have English as a first language. The advancement that they have made is very surprising. And we have another comment from Elvira Vega. I am the mom of Juan who attends Federal Terrace. They have very good staff members. and I trust them with all my children. Please do not close that school.
And the last one says, Cooper Elementary has a bright future if the school district gives them a chance. As a community, it is our job to ensure future generations of Vallejo get education. Education for once needs to be our top priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a parent of a child with special needs at Pennycook Elementary School. I'm asking you guys tonight, please do not close Pennycook School. For my child, Pennycook just isn't a school. It's a safe, predictable place where they are understood. The smaller campus, the calmer environment, and caring staff make it possible for kids with special needs to actually learn, not just get through the day. Transitions are hard for any student, but for children with IEPs, anxiety, or sensory challenges, a school change can be traumatic. Moving them into a larger, more crowded schools risk undoing years of progress, stability, and trust. I know this school district faces a $32 million deficit, and I respect the tough decisions that you may make, but Pennycook can be actually a part of the solution, not the problem. It can serve as a district model for inclusion, a smaller hub where some special education services are centralized, where unused classrooms are leased to community programs, and where after-school and childcare partnerships help bring in revenue instead of cutting support. Closing Pennycook might help us spreadsheet today, as the last presenter stated, but it will cost our children in our community far more tomorrow. Keeping Pennycook open isn't just a budget choice, it's a moral one. I'll end with this. Please keep Pennycook open because our most vulnerable kids shouldn't have to pay the price for a budget crisis they didn't create. Thank you for listening and standing with our kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ariero, thank you for taking office this year. I do have multiple questions and then responses. Um, First off, thank you guys all for being here, especially the ones that are not here that should be here tonight. Especially, I mean, most of you are just what assistants or whatever, whatnot. We don't even have the main people here that should be here for this meeting. So thank you for your attendance. Um, I'm not here on one particular school. I'm here for the whole school district and all the people surrounding it and everyone in it. I know that you guys have to make the tough decisions. Well, not you guys, but everyone else has to make the tough decisions on shutting schools down. And that sucks. And you guys are the only ones here, so you guys are the only ones going to be blamed. But the ones that need to be here are on this phone and should be here, right? My thing is, at what point in time, because you tell us all the time, make sure your kids get to school, make sure your kids do this, make sure your kids come here. Are you going to put programs to help initiate parents to get the kids to school? When are you going to start enacting to get kids to school? You can't just blame the parents only because you know what? You have a community of working parents. All these parents out here, they work. Sometimes they go to work at 6 a.m. Sometimes they go to work at 8. And you know what? The morning program, after school program, it helps. It works. Not for everyone, but for some. But also at the same time, I've sat here and I hear financial this, financial that. But you know what? All the financials that I hear is that for the past 5 to 10 years, everyone on the school board district has gotten a $30,000 raise within the past 5 to 10 years. You took over Spalding. He made over $350,000 last year, right? But I don't hear anybody up here saying, you know what, let's stop our increases in our income because the average median income in Vallejo is $60,000 a year. Spalding made 5 times that. But yet, you guys are worried about the parents and the decrease and everyone leaving. Well, they're leaving because no one's helping the kids. You guys are sitting up here getting increases every year, but yet, you know what? It's the parents. It's the people leaving. But it's okay, you're still gonna collect your income, right? So what is it that you guys are doing for us that is gonna go ahead and increase everything for everyone here? Because you know what? If you work here, your kids should go here. If you work here, you should live here. I want to see your money in our cities. I want to see your kids in our schools, because if you don't like your kid getting sub-education, then guess what? Do something about it. Be about it. Don't come here and tell us it's just the parents that have to make sure their kids attend. Make sure your kid attends this school, because I want to know, anyone here, do all of your kids attend our schools? Do you live in our communities? Do you stay here and do our property tax? No. I probably guarantee you 1 out of maybe 10 of you do. Yeah, we got rid of a trustee position that still gets a stipend, but they only get a stipend if they show up to a meeting. But you know what? How many showed up today? Where's the whole board? Where are the people that make the decisions that are about shutting our schools down? No one's here. Where's Fox? Huh?
You have 2 board
Everyone
members
here.
behind you, just
Look,
to be clear.
I'm gonna show you one thing. Can't even sit in this seat.
Right.
All these seats are going down because you can't even keep the one high school we have auditorium kept up. What is that? You had us come here because you didn't think we would fit, but you want to show us everything that you have. Here it is. One seat, right? But all these seats that go down, they don't have a spring. We have one high school. Can you take care of that at least? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I've lived in Vallejo for 35 years.
Can you come closer to the mic?
I've lived in Vallejo
Thank you.
for over 35 years. I've had 3 kids that went through Cooper. Each graduated. I had 2 that went through Peoples. When it was Peoples, John Finley. One was back on Hobbs. I came to your last meet. I have a problem with the same thing we're going over now. There's no solution. You're making these parents worry. What's going to happen next year? Where am I going to put my kid at? Some of these parents didn't even know about a meeting here happening. And when you ask them at Cooper, you know there's a meeting going on, the school's possibly going to close, but you're not preparing them or helping a solution for them to where they're going to put their kids at. They're working. Where are they going to take their kids the last minute you're going to tell them, okay, Cooper's going to this school here? Why don't you put it out there where your intentions are sending these kids there? There's no bus system here in Vallejo. How are they going to get there? I heard them mention the fact that, oh, we're working on getting some money to be able to put them on buses to get them there. But imagine, you put yourself in their shoes. I was a mother working, and I commuted out of Vallejo. My kids had to get there. They walked, okay, from where I live at, not too far from Cooper to Vallejo High. But my thing is, tell the parents, don't wait till the last minute. That's stressful. Granted, half of you probably don't live here, don't know what it is. But if you lived here in Vallejo, John Finley had the best location when it was over on Hobbs. You moved it over here where it's at 8 years ago. It was working. You allowed all these charter schools to come here in Vallejo and take your money, and then it's a problem. Then you go to tell these parents, oh, hey, if you want to take your child and you want to send them to a different district because Vallejo is no longer able to school them, or the parents can't afford to keep them in that school district, they got to take them where they work at. But the problem is, you're going to say no. You just said no. I'm not allowing anybody to get any inter-district transfers anymore because we're going to try to keep the money here. But Vallejo has the highest taxes in all the city. What are we doing with the money? That city council knows this. John Finley has mental health problem, mental health education over there. You're going to put them over in Cooper? As if though we don't have enough mental health facilities over in Cooper area. Stop and think about what you're doing and how you're hurting the people and how they're feeling right now. It's all the schools. A lot of these schools are so raggedy, they got mildew up into them. They're falling apart at the grounds you can't even walk on. If you were to take the time and go through these schools, I've had 2 grandkids that went to multiple schools here. Hit the charters, they weren't all that great. But because they had the ability and we put them through some homeschooling like Kumon, they would not have made it. Step up your standards if you want them to stay in the school district, offer what it is. Like I said, I had one was a 4.0, a 3.5, 2 of them. But my whole thing is changing what you're doing. Let people know what your intentions are. Don't have them come out here to these meetings and you still haven't rounded off. Well, I'm thinking about moving you here. I seen the list of the other schools, how you moved them. But it's your own fault, the city of Vallejo's own fault. They never have been responsible when it comes down to kids. It's never been kid friendly. Even GVRD has moved out and taken off, but there's money here in Vallejo. If it would allocate it the right way and stop misappropriate use of the funds that's happening here in Vallejo. It's all in the paper of how John Finley wants to move over there. Are they gonna put Cooper on surplus? If people would take the time to read, you'll know what's happening in the city of Vallejo. It ain't that big. But we don't get it out there to all the people that needs to know what's happening here in Vallejo. I'm gonna close on that note.
Thank you. We have, before we take the next one, we have a couple more online, and then we'll come back over.
So we have 3 comments. One from Priscilla. As a Vallejo resident who grew up in the school district, the school closures brought me trauma because I had to start over. I do think school closures bring traumas for every student. The next comment is from Rebecca Orabani. When you shared the potential cost savings of closing schools, did you take into account that your saving will be far less because most of the teachers will transfer to other schools to support kids? And the final comment is from Anonymous. The focus should be on how to fill the schools with students and not closing them down if we really support the community and build up our resources, as well as better academic with qualified teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Iriardi. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Cooper Elementary School. Raise your hand if you're here from Cooper. Woo! All right. I just want to begin by asking all of you guys to think back to your own elementary school years. I hope you're all carrying warm memories. I hope you remember a special teacher. I hope you remember playing on the playground with your best friends. And a lot of these things would be lost if our Cooper community or any of these school district communities get split up. Kids might not be at the same school with their friends anymore. They might not be at the same school with their favorite teachers. Students risk losing all of that, their trusted adults, their friendships, their sense of belonging, and their community. Tonight, we know Cooper is at risk of losing these precious things. I also want to speak about Measure S, a bond that our community supported with their hard-earned money because they believe in strong, safe, and thriving schools. Cooper Elementary has benefited from those funds in responsible and meaningful ways. With Measure S money, we had restroom renovations, 2 new picnic benches, HVAC installations, and roofing replacement. But I think the important thing that I want to mention is that we have 2 brand new play structures, one for the kindergarten and one for the upper grades. And from what I could see, from the improvements that I could see on Measure S, Cooper has the newest playground in the Vallejo Unified School District. And I feel that that's something special. I don't feel that the taxpayers' money should be wasted by turning this into a high school. I think that that would just really be a waste of taxpayer money and would be a crying shame, honestly. Cooper Elementary is located in a safe, stable neighborhood. We do not experience any safety issues at our school. We don't have problems. We don't worry about being safe at our school. When people moved into the neighborhood, as someone else said, they moved there with their children or with the thoughts of having children, knowing that they were right across the street or right near a school. That's why people move to those neighborhoods a lot of times when they have children. And this would affect so many families. It would be really a hard thing for a lot of these families. You've asked for community input and involvement. Tonight, Cooper has shown up. Our staff, our families, and even our neighbors are here because this matters deeply to us. We want to work with you. We want to be part of the solution. I do have a little quick suggestion because you're talking about attendance, getting kids to show up in the mornings and having them be present at school. And my little thought is to expand, and someone else talking about having to go to work early in the morning. What if we expanded after school to before school and offered kids could come to be at school early instead of worrying about being late or worrying about not showing up at all when their parents have to go to work. I think this would be a nice solution for a lot of families and something to think a little bit more about. I do hope the 7-Eleven committee will weigh this decision wisely. We want to know what we can do as a community to ensure Cooper remains open because we're ready to do it. We're not just a school, we're a home for our students. With many parents working, many of our students spend more hours at school than they do with their families. And in conclusion, thank you all for your time. Thank you for listening. And thank you for considering what Cooper Elementary truly means to this community.
Thank you.
And I do hear everyone's hearts. I know everyone loves their school, and I know everyone feels the same way about their community. And this is hard. This is just hard for everyone involved.
Hello, my name is Veronica, and I also live across the street from Cooper. I'm the PTA president at Cooper and a parent of a second grader. I'm here to say something simple and from the heart. Do not close Cooper. This is more than a building to all of us. This is where our children, including parents, feel safe, supported, and seen. If you close it, you're not just moving students, you're shaking the foundation of entire families. Sorry. You're taking away the comfort of familiar teachers, the routine our kids rely on, and the sense of community that holds many of us together, if not all. Families will feel lost, pushed aside, and unseen. Children will feel scared, confused, and uprooted. They rely on the school's location because they do not have the time, the transportation, or the resources to adjust to sudden change. They do not have flexible jobs. They are doing everything they can, and this closure just punishes them for circumstances they never created. Our kids and the staff are not numbers. They are not obstacles. They are human beings who deserve stability, not disruption. Sorry. Tonight, I'm asking you to stop looking at the decision through financial charts and facility maps. Start looking at it through the eyes of children who will be hurt by it. And I'm not just speaking on Cooper, I'm speaking on all the schools involved. Sorry. Look at the families who are barely holding on as it is, and look at the real life consequences, not the clean lines on paper. Your responsibility is not just to balance budgets, it's to protect the well-being and educational futures of all students. Closing this elementary school, or any, fails the responsibility. It jeopardizes early education, destabilizes families, and diminishes trust in our district's leadership. In addition, our neighborhood did not plan for a continuation high school. I did not choose a home next to one. I chose the home close to the elementary school where my son would attend. This is not about judging continuation students. Their education matters deeply. It's about putting the right program in the right place and protecting the integrity, safety, and development needs of the young children who already call this school and neighborhood home. And when the district tries to force such a major shift without community support, it shows a lack of respect for the families who have invested their lives, their homes, and their children's future here. Residents should not have to absorb the consequences of district planning issues that originated elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Luis. Mi participación la quiero poner en 3 puntos. Primer punto, soy vecino de la escuela Cooper Elementary School y considero que es una escuela funcional con una muy buena ubicación para toda la comunidad que a ella acude. Segundo punto, creo que por cada escuela que se cierra, se incrementa la posibilidad de que existan delincuentes en la comunidad. Menos educación, más delincuencia. Tercer punto, creo que el distrito escolar está yendo en sentido contrario. Esto significa, lejos de que el distrito escolar se enfoque a mejorar la calidad de estudio en Vallejo, se está enfocando en cerrar escuelas sobre pretexto de cualquier cosa. Creo que no hay pretexto para sacrificar la educación y sí hay motivos para que se mejore la educación y que Vallejo, lejos de estar en los últimos lugares, vaya hacia los primeros lugares en nivel educativo. Gracias.
Gracias.
My name is Wendy. I have a kindergartner at Stephen Manor. Takeaway points from here that I'm learning as I'm going. Our kids are money signs that direct whether you move or you don't move and in which direction you move, and which a lot of it has no thought or clarification into it. It's a lot of, well, we think we can accommodate, well, we think we can do, well, we think we can. As a working parent in the district, when my husband and I moved into Vallejo, bought the home into Vallejo, one of our biggest things is, are we gonna do public education or are we gonna do private education? Could I squeeze money for private education? Maybe I can cut some things and send my kids to private school. We decided on public education because we were both raised on public education. It is scary to think that I'm sitting in this room full of people, everybody speaking for all of their schools, and that if I don't get up there and say something, I'm not representing my son who's a kindergartner. His journey for school is just barely starting. He's getting put in hurdles that he doesn't even know he has upcoming. To think of him being at home, being this squishy little kid that's so innocent, and that just thinks the world of his teachers, his safe plate, his safe space at Stephen Manor, the comfiness that everybody is describing in every school, and that nobody's thinking of those thoughts, but just the money signs and the money trails behind it is disheartening. It's frustrating. It's anxiety ridden. We're all sitting here with anxiety, just begging, don't choose our school, even though you're gonna choose one of them. The point I wanted to make, I need to stand up for my son, and I need to show him mom came and she at least spoke up. But your overall teaching in all this matter is your kid is a money sign, please send him to school so we can keep the school open. And that's just disheartening when all I want for him is to get an education. And I trusted the district to give him an education, that it's still in a limbo and things can never be decided.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hazel. I'm from Federal Terrace, and I just wanted to say that if you took away our school from there, it will be really difficult to go to school and out because it might take literally minutes, just like going to school and going out of the school. And that for parents that work there, for teachers that work there, they might feel like like if they if they're teaching, if that's their last day there, if they if that's their last day, that's their last day. They're just teaching them, and if they get off, they're gonna have to find a new job, and that would take more time away from them, and that for students, they might have siblings there that maybe love their teachers, have friends there that they don't want to like take away. They might go to different schools, and that they might be heartbroken after that. And for parents, it might be difficult to enroll new students into new schools, and that would take like money too away from it, and it would be really hard for them to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ulani, and I go to Solana Wiedemann Leadership Academy, and I used to go to Pennycook, and my grandma started the computer lab there, roommate, and my mother, my auntie, my other auntie, and my uncle all attended Pennycook, and the Pennycook is very nostalgic to me, and it gives memories and reminds me of my grandmother that worked there. And in memory of her, they planted two trees for her. And it's like I look at the trees and I remember her. But if you close that down, I would never be able to visit her, like in the memory. And like Pennycook is a very good school. I love it. I loved it. It was very nice, amazing staff, and it's also a leader in me school. And I learned all 8 habits, but some people only learn 7. But my teachers taught me all 8. So I really loved Pennycook, and thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take 2 online comments, and then I'm going to come to you after that.
A community member asks, have you considered hiring more bus drivers to offer busing to more students?
Mr. Fernandez, you want to answer that one? And then we'll take the next one.
We've worked really hard in developing a pipeline for training bus drivers. I think if I could be selfish for a moment, if anybody's interested, contact our transportation department. We've got an excellent training program, and I'm working with the Assistant Superintendent Chamberlain to work on ways to recruit more bus drivers. Overall, I think we've had a better year than we did last year, but we can continue to grow, and we'll need more folks to work with us in transportation to make sure our students can get to school on time.
Next comment or question? No more? Okay.
Okay. I have a big voice. I am Miss Washington. I work at Cooper Elementary. I am the mental health support provider, and I have been there since we started the position at the mental health support provider. When you guys are talking about like data, or whether our social emotional program is working, I have all the data that you need from PACS and Komochis that my students have gone through. It's disheartening to see the students up here talk about their experience at school. I'm from Vallejo. I was born and raised here. This is my high school. My junior high school was across the street, and it's wonderful to be able to come up here. I think one of my old teachers still work here. To come up here and to see my school. When we're talking about the impact of the community, I'll just share a little story about the work that we have done at Cooper. 2 years ago, as we were was it out of COVID 2 years ago? We were coming in, and I get a call from my supervisor about them bringing the student to my school. When I say one of my kids are the best kids, I know there's wonderful kids out in this district. I know that because we get them in the summer, we get them in the spring break. I can't say anything bad about another school. But this particular student was being bullied at another school, and the parents were thinking about putting the student in a different district. And so I got the call, and she cried every day for a month. We worked with her. And then one day she came in, she was really, really upset, and her teacher called me. One of my fifth grade teachers, Miss Chavis, she's one of the best fifth grade teachers. And she was like, well, I'm just gonna say the student, I'm not gonna say their name, but name is Amy. Like, is Amy here? And I was like, yeah, she's upset. And my kids came and got her and was like, we want you here. You have friends here. You're a value here. And when I tell you she did a 360, by the end of the school year, she had spoke at the school district. She was performing, she had gained confidence, and it was all because I didn't do nothing. I really didn't. It was my students who actually did it. My students make each other feel included. They're excited to see each other. They have friendships and everything. And it was the environment that she had that made her want to come to school every day. And that's what we're missing. School is hard to get up in the morning to come every day. But if you want to come to school because I have that project, because I'm going to participate in the play, because I have something to do, or my friends are going to see me, or all that stuff is important. And that's something that we missed. It's frustrating because I've been a part of the school district since 2003, and we keep closing school, doing something over and over and over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. We keep closing schools, but we're not getting any better, and we're not putting anything in place. I'm not gonna beg you to keep my school open because I don't feel that I have to. I feel that Cooper has earned to stay open. When I first got there, we were on fire. We were on fire. We had a lot of kids with disciplinary issues. And with the things that we have put in place that we paid really good money for, to get our kimochis, to get our packs, to have everything trained, we did it and we put in the work. We deserve to stay open because every obstacle that we have faced, I've been in that school and I've had 6 or 7 different principals we have faced, and we have bonded together as a community to make sure that our kids get served. Even now, you guys said this consolidation, we're gonna get more teachers, we're gonna get all that. That's not been the case. But at Cooper, there is no big I's and no little U's. If there's something that needs to be filled, we fill it. Regardless of the position, we all work together. So I'm not gonna beg you to keep our school open. I'm gonna tell you we have earned the right to stay open. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Amy. I'm a mom of 2 kids at Cooper. You've already heard from me twice. I'm going to read a letter that my parents wrote. Anxiety, brokenness, fear, strife, and uncertainty are all of the things that you want to teach young children starting out in their education. By closing Cooper Elementary School, that is exactly what you're doing. As if the destroyer in chief isn't already doing enough to tear apart our democracy, you want to bring it right into the classroom by closing Cooper Elementary School. Wow, what a great up-close education you are offering. We are the grandparents of Giovanni and Mateo Gallegos, 1st and 3rd graders at Cooper. Over the past several years of their formative education, they have developed a number of friendships with other students, and especially Miss Iriarty and Miss Albano, their teacher and librarian. Cooper has become a safe haven for them. Miss Brenda, too. They forgot to write your name. It is a community of families, teachers, and staff that have come together surrounding these children. creating a supportive and safe environment where children can thrive and learn? Do you want this flourishing community to end? Some kids at Cooper might be experiencing the fear, turmoil, and uncertainty of living in broken families. Fortunately, our grandkids are not. Others might be living under the fear of the looming ice age with federal goon squads swooping down on them or their parents or grandparents at any time to rip their families apart. Is this what you want to, do you want to teach kids more insecurity and chaos by ripping apart the delicate social fabric at the beginning of their education? Is this how you would like to be treated if you worked at Cooper Elementary? Is this how you wish to be remembered in your legacy? But of course, money and the whims of politicians always takes precedence over the feelings, emotions of mere children. As concerned grandparents, we plead with you to leave Cooper Elementary School open so that students, teachers, and staff and families can thrive. Please act on the side of sanity and order, not division, chaos, and destruction, such as we observe all around us every day, ranging from the White House right down to the local level of our cities and schools. We plead with you in the strongest terms to leave Cooper Elementary School open as exemplary example of what our children and community can attain. Sincerely, James and Kyra Gammon. And I agree with Ms. Washington, we earned it. We're a good school.
Hello again. My name is Kim. Today, I brought my husband and my 3 children who attend at Cooper. What Amy said and what Ms. Washington spoke of, I feel like Cooper has earned its place. Initially, when I first moved to Vallejo, I had second doubts. I honestly thought about moving back to San Francisco based on like Galileo and this, Lowell High School and everything. As the years went by, and I think I just decided to just stay and remain as resilient as I can, I realized that Cooper has changed tremendously in such a positive way. Miss Brenda is our after-school encore, our expanded learning program coordinator, and Miss Washington has been a major, tremendous blessing to my children's lives. We're Vallejo Unified School Districts, but it seems like looking at everyone here today, we're far from being united or unified here. And I wish that we're more than just data on a spreadsheet based on what you can project in 5 years versus 10 years. But with everything that's happening, our economy is going up and down, living expenses have gone up. And when we consolidate these schools, it's also taking away the stability away from our children. Are we gonna have enough staff that are adequate enough to treat these type of big emotional things that are happening to them? Are they gonna be able to service our children properly to make sure that they're able to be on a brighter path, to have them be at their fullest, greatest potential? That's my concern for all the parents here. And I see everyone here, just the look on their faces that they're terrified, and you can just sense it. You can sense this heaviness that they're just worried about what changes they're gonna have to make next year. And a lot of us moved here, and we want stability. We wanna change that Vallejo doesn't always have a bad rep, and we wanna be able to have these future students become something more than what Vallejo has always known, has been known for the last few years. So I'm just hoping that you guys would keep Cooper open and maybe try to find a way for some sort of consolidation where it's not affecting so many families. That's all.
Thank you.
So what I wanted to say is, what will happen to all of the schools if they close?
So it depends. We're not going to close all the schools first, and so we're looking at, there's 7 schools on the list, but we're not going to close 7 schools. If some do close, there's plans to potentially move programs there. There's some facilities, because the 7-Eleven committee gave us something called surplus, we can look at potentially selling a property to generate revenue for the district. I'm trying to think. We want to generate funds for the district so we don't have to continue to cut things that provide for your classroom, for example. So that's part of it.
So, like, what I'm basically trying to say is what will happen if a school closes? Just say a random school, and then what it will turn into if it closes.
Well, some will continue to be schools. Others can become other programs that we use for the district. We will also look at partnerships to bring in services for the community. So that we'll try to find some use for those buildings. But then there's also the ability to sell the buildings as well.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Connerlina Barr, and I stand here today as a teacher at Cooper Elementary School and also as a parent. My daughter is currently studying here at Cooper, 4th grade. She only arrived last February, which is only 4 months, and everything was so new to her. I still remember her first day at the car asking me, "What will gonna happen, Mom?" She was so nervous, unsure, and a little scared of what kind of school setting she would walk into. But when she came out of school that afternoon, everything changed. She had so many stories to tell. She said, "Mom, I love school. I like it here." From that moment, I knew she found a place where she felt safe, supported, and welcomed. This is also my second year teaching at Cooper. I still remember when I was so new, how quickly this school embraced me, guided me, and made me feel that I truly belong. And in such a short amount of time, both my daughter and I have grown, adjusted, and become deeply connected to this community. Cooper Elementary School is more than just a school. It is a home, it is a family. Many of our students live in the neighborhood and walk to school every day. For them, Cooper is not only close, it is accessible, safe, and familiar. They arrive walking hand in hand with siblings or friends, excited to come to a place where they know they will be supported, challenged, and cared of. Our students find stability here. They build friendships, routines, and confidence here. They know this is school, and this school knows them. And beyond our students, we also have efficient, dedicated teachers and an effective administrator who pour their hearts into this community. These are professionals who understand the needs of our students, who build strong relationships with families, and who work tirelessly to ensure that every child successes. So I ask, if Cooper Elementary School closes, what is the plan for these teachers, to this administrator who give so much? What will happen to us who leads with empathy, strength, and vision? What will happen to the team that has built trust, stability, and continuity for our students? These are not just employees, they are the foundation of this school. They are part of why Cooper feels like home. That is why the thought of Cooper Elementary School closing is heartbreaking. My daughter found her confidence here. I found my purpose here. Our teachers found a community to serve, and our families found a place of belonging. We do not want to lose the school that has given so much to all of us. As decisions are being made, I hope the voices of our children, families, teachers, and leaders are heard. Cooper Elementary School is not just a name, it is a living, breathing community that continues to shape lives every single day. Please let us keep Cooper Elementary School open. Let us preserve the home, the safety, and the future that this school provides for all of our students and staff. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you. Before you go, we're going to take 2 more online, then I'm going to come to you.
We
So
have
on-
two comments. A community member says, instead of closing schools and firing people, please get a state loan and focus on making VCUSD a district that kids want to attend. This, which you might want to respond to, but I will go ahead and say the second comment. The second comment is from Candace. I'm a parent to 2 kids at Federal Terrace. They transferred in the middle of last school year from out of state, and the students, staff, and admins made the transition easy. My kids love their school and are heartbroken at the fact that they may have to move to yet another school next year after finding a school that they could call home. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to come to you.
Hi, my name is Layla. I'm a former student at Federal Terrace. It's okay. At Federal Terrace Elementary School. I went there for 3rd through 6th grade. Going there was a good choice because when I first moved to Vallejo, it was right across the street, so I was able to walk. Federal Terrace should not be shut down because if you were to choose to close a school, you are not just closing a school, but you are also closing a community because Federal Terrace has a community that relies on Federal Terrace. There are many students who go to Federal Terrace because they live in the area and it helps parents who are not able to drive, but they have the ability to walk. And they don't have to worry about transportation. We do have a park that is across the street where kids go to hang out because our community is friendly and understanding. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name's Sam. I have 2 kids who go to Cooper in kindergarten and 2nd grade. And I am lucky enough to get to volunteer a lot at school and actually get to see what's happening there. We've been involved in the school for 4 years, and I've seen it get better and better every year. I wanted to point out that this year, Cooper has been trying for many years to become a community school. And this year, we actually received a community schools grant, which my understanding is $250,000 a year that can be used at our site for a number of things. We've already started a robotics club, video production club. We are doing art. We're doing poetry. We're trying to bring different field trip activities to the school. In my mind, with what I've seen at Cooper, it's worth saving. But on top of that, if we're talking about dollars and cents, even though I know that that money can't be used directly for salaries and that sort of thing, in my mind, it can be used to alleviate financial pressure and benefit the school. And it really makes no sense to close a school that just got something that's going to bring in, my understanding, it's 5 years and almost $1 million. When we're talking about a $30 million deficit, it seems like we should be trying to hold on to as much funding as we have, especially funding that we just are starting to receive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Charles Nelson. I've been attending Vallejo since all my life. I attended here since Elsa Wiedemann, before it was a Lee Public School. Attended here since Solano Middle School, and been here since my freshman year at Vallejo High School. One thing I'm gonna keep it just short and simple. One thing I really want to talk about is the attendance and why does the parents or students get punished? Well, I mean, punished by like truancy letters when sometimes it's not their fault that they show up late, or just the parent, or sometimes not the parent's fault. Why do they have to get punished for it and having to get jail time or have to get charged for it? Why can't we just make, except for punishing them, give them something to go to school for and say, we're gonna punish you because you didn't show up on time or because you didn't show up at all. We should give them a reason to go to school except for having to punish them. And I feel like that will make the attendance go up more, except for just keeping it the same and making them feel pressure and they have to go to school. Make them want to go to school. That's it.
Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't have a really loud voice, so. Closer. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? I'm sorry, it's low.
Close. Yeah. To the mic.
So I asked the question earlier about the financial aspect of businesses in our area, and you mentioned that there was certain funding that couldn't be used in specific ways. And like the gentleman was saying earlier, then are you looking at doing some kind of repurposing or rewriting the rules or guidance to make that a thing so that you can put that money into schools that are locally here? And then the other question I had was, so I see you guys here, and there was a mention of you all, maybe with the exception of you, not living within this area. Do you understand what it means for us to be losing a school within our community? Like, that's a real issue, not just for the children itself, but also because this area is, people moved here because of the schools themselves, right? So that kind of seems like a twofold thing. If you're not from here and you don't have any skin in the game, then it doesn't really matter to you whether or not that school remains. And the vote is not necessarily about like a heart issue because we'd win hands down because we care about the students and the schools. It's a financial issue. So what is being done with local government to help sustain the schools, or what have you done to provide, have they done anything to help provide some sort of like recompense for what needs to come for these schools to be maintained? And it's not just a school, it's all of the schools, because you're continuously closing schools as if that's going to make a dent in the dollar amount you're saying you need. And the other question I had was, you're talking about doubling down on teachers, but yet clearly every quarter and every school year, you're still at a deficit for the teachers you say that you have, because you need them all the time, just like you also needed the bus drivers that you're gonna facilitate for us, because you currently don't have those as well. So there's an issue with what you're saying and where the money is actually going. There's some mismanagement there. So I don't know if it's a level of like the comprehension of what you're telling us and what's actually happening, or if you really care to do what you're saying, or if it's just about selling or loaning, leasing out our property so that you can make money, and who is it going to, and how is it going to help schools in the future?
Yeah, I can take the question on the community school grants. So those grants are specific to how the state legislature writes those laws and rules for how we use those dollars. So we're restricted in how we can, what we can use them for. With that being said, I think one of the things we're really focusing on is working with our business partners in the community to develop some philanthropic work to have folks donate to our organizations. We're working to revive our education foundation. A lot of school communities are really supported foundationally by some of these givers, right? And so how can we're asking ourselves, how can we restart those organizations and get some of those dollars back into our communities?
Can you clarify who we is?
Who we?
Yeah, you said we. Who
We
is
say we, so when I say we, the leadership group here at Vallejo City Unified, the superintendent, our cabinet, and working with our site principals to develop those funding streams for our schools.
And does that include parent support?
It does, it does. And we're only as strong as those parent relationships and those parent committees. And so how do we build those foundational principles that keep our community strong? To answer your question on how are we kind of investing in our schools, so there are different pots of money at school districts. The pot of money where we're having the most concern supports our salaries and benefits for our teachers and our support staff. We do have capital dollars, dollars that can be used to build schools, build a playground, reinvigorate a multipurpose room or a theater like this. So how can we reinvest those dollars? Well, we do have some dollars there. How do we take those dollars and build schools that attract more parents, right? Build schools that have places to play so that we get our kids coming through some of those youth leagues in order to, because kids that play together want to go to school together, right? So those are some of the things we're working on to move that forward.
Okay, and so this work is working as in you just started doing this, or it's been
Yeah,
done?
so for the majority of the leadership group, we've been here less than a year or less than a year and a half. And so we're trying to bring some of the ideas around the state into Vallejo to really reinvigorate some of the programs here at the youth level, and dollars that can support teaching going on in our classrooms too. So.
Okay, so this idea of surplusing or closing these schools was on the table before you all got here?
Yeah, and it's a cycle that has been in place for all those. If you recall the list that was here before, it takes several years to go through the process of surplusing a property, putting it up for public, because the public entities, like the government agencies, have the opportunity to use the space before it goes out to sale to, say, a developer who wants to build homes. And so it's a constant program to manage the assets of the district in a way that brings life back to the community, brings play, brings sports, brings activities, brings other programs that really support the community growing. And so that we're trying to turn that corner.
And then the question about local government, is anyone able to answer that?
Was there,
I couldn't hear what you just said.
The question I asked about the involvement that you all put in with local government, how is that working out for us? Have they been brought into the
local
situation?
government,
Yeah.
working with the
Have they
city.
been brought in, or is this just a?
Well, so we do have a partnership with the local government, with the city of Vallejo, city council. We have a 2x2 meeting where our board president and vice president meet on a monthly basis, and with 2 council members, which actually includes the mayor and a council member. And they look to try to address challenges that really impact the youth in Vallejo. So we talk about things like, well, what do we need to do as a community to attract our families back? One of the things that has come up in the past is sports. So we lose students, and we have historically lost some students to neighboring school districts because kids go play Little League in a different community, and they make friends, and they want to stay with their friends. So why can't we offer that within the community of Vallejo? There used to be a lot of great programs available for our kids within the city. So we're trying to reinvigorate that with the community. But we're also one agency. We don't run the city, we run the school district. So we have to work in partnership with them. We have a very dedicated school board that puts a lot of time and energy into doing that. They're invested. 2 of our board members have students in the schools. They live in the community, they're part of this work, and it's painful for everyone, even those who don't live in Vallejo, who are up here. It is painful to have to stand here and do this process. This is not something we want to do.
And that was the best solution, just to say we're going to surplus the school or we're going to close schools?
No, it's there are multiple. We're painting one portion of it. There are a lot of different things and a lot of moving parts. So one is, the way school district budgeting works, you have to project out 3 years of a budget. And if you can't demonstrate that you can afford 3 years worth of a budget, you end up with a negative budget, a negative certification. That's what led to 20 years ago, this district essentially becoming bankrupt and having to borrow money. At the same time, when that happens, you lose control of your district. The state takes it over, assigns a person, singular person, who makes all the decisions without having to have these kind of conversations. They come in and they will close schools. They will fire people. They will change things just uniformly without having to ask for feedback. We're trying to avoid that situation. We don't want to go backwards. We don't want to end up there again. So this process is to get everyone's involvement. We don't want to close schools. None of us want to do that. But we also don't want to go backwards and end up in a place we were 20 years ago.
And so the thing about the buses and the teachers is that you were saying that you have that already together, but obviously you don't. So can we look forward to, if you decide to close this school, us not having a way to get our children to and from school?
Right, and as the process is, the board will make a decision in the middle of December, and then when we have those directives, we'll finalize the plan on that. So we've already got the data, we're having the conversations, we're trying to reinvest in our transportation program in order to meet that need if it does come to.
But currently you don't have that taken care of.
No, we would need a solidified decision by the board in order to really make that decision. But we're trying to do some things in the background in order to prepare for that without investing too many dollars into that. But a lot of planning can happen before that.
So when you consolidate, just one more question, when you consolidate schools, how does that impact the teachers in the classrooms? Because they're already maxed as it is, so you're going to
Really good question. Once the board makes their decision, then we have negotiated language through our collective bargaining agreements and our seniority lists that go out. Matter of fact, the seniority list closes this Friday. We've sent it out to the community to ask them to make sure it's accurate so that we're making the best decisions that we can going forward. Really, the human resources job starts once the board makes their final decision, and then we then work with our bargaining partners to determine what the transfer process may look like if a school is closed, or we do our best through professional development to help our teachers glow and grow. Sometimes folks decide to move on, and so attrition will play a part in that. So there's lots of things that will be happening behind the scenes once the decision is made for us to then move forward with our partners.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello again.
I've listened to a lot of passion tonight. I've listened to a lot of hurtful feelings tonight, which is the same that happened when Stefan stood up and when Federal Terrace stood up and Penny Cook stood up. We all think we're great. What I think in my head, though, as I listen to my parents and I listen to the parents of the other schools, what are you doing to alleviate that fears? What are you doing to make it better? Schools are going to close. We know this is a fact, okay? This is a fact we're going to have to face. What are you doing as a board and as a superintendent to make it better? Mare Island closing, Vallejo Charter School closing was not handled well. Wiedemann closing was not handled well. Cave closing was not handled well. We're now closing more. It still has no plan to be handled well. I don't hear any support for our families. I don't hear any support for our kids. I don't hear any support for our teachers who are going to be displaced. I don't hear support for our communities. I hear our communities screaming in pain. I hear our parents screaming in fear. I hear our children filled with anxiety, and I don't see any plan to make that better. I know when I lived through it, there was no plan to make it better. I know when my daughter lived through it, there was no plan to make it better. So right now, I am challenging you, and I'm challenging the board, and I'm challenging the school district to figure out a plan to alleviate this pain, to the pain I'm hearing from my parents and my students tonight. That's my challenge to you. It's time for you guys to step up. Yeah, we get it. You're going to close our schools. We get it. It's going to impact our children. We get it. It's going to impact our community. Where's the plan?
Thank you. So I'll talk about the timeline first and foremost. So if we recall last year when we made a decision to close those two schools, that came much later in the calendar, in the window, which limited our timeline to make sure everything was done right. And I agree with you, it was not done well. That I agree with you.
It was no way done well. Boxes, 3,000 boxes were dumped in the middle of Mare Island, and nobody helped disperse them. Teachers were pushed into rooms where there was no space for them. The rooms were not cleaned out. The rooms were not deep cleaned. The rooms were not emptied on either site.
Right. And we want to avoid that situation and not go down that path again.
So what's the plan?
Well, the plan, there's multiple. One is all the different scenarios and what we have to do. And once that happens and we get to a decision, we also have the timeline adjusted so we can address those situations. So we can meet with the individual schools that are impacted. So we can meet with those communities as well, post a decision to try to deal with the stress and anxiety that comes with these decisions. So this is not just us standing up here, this one and done situation. We are going to meet with those communities after the fact as well.
Would you like me to challenge you to say that VCUSD, or excuse me, Vallejo Charter's still waiting?
Yeah.
When do we do better?
I hear you.
Good evening. My name is Colette Laye. I'm the library media tech at Federal Terrace. I work there. I started off there as a parent volunteer. My 3 daughters attended Federal Terrace. I will not lie to you. After my girls left elementary, I sent them to a charter school. uneducated. We do not know exactly what goes on at the charter schools. Until my daughters got into a charter school, I realized teachers aren't credentialed. So that's our problem number one. As parents, we're not educated about charter schools, and that's why we lose students. You need to really look into the charter schools. Number two, we all see everything. We know the schools are going to close. There's going to be consolidations. That's a given. All of us care about our schools and our communities. That's a given. We're passionate about our schools. We're passionate with the students we see. We as adults are uncomfortable more so with change. Our children see that from us, they're going to feel the anxiety. You have to keep that away from our children. Our children are more resilient than you think. We had a fourth grader, excuse me, I'm emotional. We had a fourth grader whose parent was murdered. She was out of school for a week. She came back smiling. She was hurt, you could see the hurt, but she's resilient. These kids are resilient. They're gonna go with the flow and they will push through better than what we as adults do. So thank you for being upfront and honest with us. Thank you for the 2 board members that are here. I appreciate you guys being here. We all know it's just a matter of time. Be patient, ask your questions. I've been to the town halls, I've been to the 7-Eleven meetings, I've been to the board meetings, I've spoke up. I may have been the only one at one time from Federal Terrace speaking up, but I was there regardless. When you see meetings at your schools for school site council, ELAC, show up. Don't complain about it after the fact. Thank you, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hi, hello, I'm Eligio Correa. I'm a father of 2 girls at Federal Terrace. I'm kind of overwhelmed because there are a lot of passion here. There's a lot of people that wants to the school district works. But my point right now is, what can I do? I'm talking about me as a father of 2 girls in Federal Terrace. How can I help you in order to achieve our goals? I mean, our community in Federal Terrace is not more important than any other community from other school. All of the communities are super important. All the children are super important. They are like the spirit that brought us here today. And I want to help the school district. How can I do it? I mean, I take my girls all days to school. I try to maximize their knowledge on the after-school programs. I want to use all the resources I have available, but what can I do to help you without taking you the responsibility? Because there are a lot of people that come up to challenge you. You have a lot of things to do, but on my side, on my end, what can I do to help you?
And you're doing it even this evening, which is when you come to events, when just heard now, when schools hold meetings or they ask for volunteers or they ask for ways for parents to get involved, that matters. That matters not just at the moment for your child, but it matters in building the energy around a school. We know that part of the reason we're here is because our enrollment has dropped to a point. I mentioned 23,000, we're down 9,600. We know there are more kids in this community. They're here, they're in Vallejo, but why aren't they in the schools? And so part of that is the energy in our community. I love the passion I'm hearing tonight. I love that about Cooper and Federal and Stephen Manor, Pennycook. I believe every school, Lincoln's been mentioned, every school on this list has been mentioned this evening. And that's what we need. So we need cheerleaders in this community telling our story, telling your neighbors when you see they have school-age children, hey, where are you going to go to school? We got a great school right here. Commit to this school, because that helps us, because we need to build that back up. We need to stop that trend, which is families not coming to Vallejo schools. So that's one way. It's telling our story, committing. On the bigger scale, we always, we have people who vote, right? We got to vote for the right people. That put education first. We know we're not adequately funded as a school district, and that's up and down the state. So there are impacts there as well. So you can get involved that way. But most importantly, be that parent that gets involved, ensures that their kids come to school daily, knowing the importance of attendance. And it's not just dollar signs, but we have to be able to fund everything we offer at the schools. And those things are directly connected.
Yeah, I understand that probably it's too late. I mean, it's been 4 meetings before, but it will be so sad to leave this room today and tomorrow receive an email. Guess what? Your kids are going to be relocated it's going to be like super sad to hear that. I'm here to step up for my community. There are a lot of people that could do more than me. And of course, if there's something else that we can push, like talk to someone else, like a legislator, or invite someone to another meeting, someone that can actually make some decisions, I'm totally in.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Natalie. I'm 17. I was a student at Federal Terrace Elementary. And from what I'm hearing, from what I've heard tonight so far, is that people feel helpless. The parents feel helpless because many of them walk. I was one of the students that walked to school because it was a 5-minute walk from my house to Federal Terrace. And like so many people have been saying tonight about their schools, yeah, oh, our school's better. Oh, our school is great. Yeah, that's true. All of them have qualities that make them so great, which is why it's sad that there's the possibility that some may close down. And that honestly saddens me because my friend's little sister, who I'm very close to, she goes to Federal Terrace now. She's, I think, in 4th grade now. She's so close to getting to middle school. And I just feel sad that she can't finish her final year, her 5th grade year at Federal Terrace, because in my experience there, I enjoyed it. I loved going there. The staff is amazing. Like Miss Coco, the library tech, she's amazing. I love all the staff members there. I had a wonderful experience there because they're welcoming. The school's so welcoming. And when I moved to Vallejo, probably like a year before I even began school, my parents moved us here because it was convenient. It was a 5-minute walk. Wow, convenient. And from when we first spoke with my kindergarten teacher at the time, she was also very welcoming. She was very welcoming to us in the school and to Vallejo in general. And I don't know, I just feel like it doesn't feel like there's anything that any of us can do. It's just left in your hands, and then with our voices trying to speak up for our schools so that they don't close down. And yeah, so it's just all very complicated because I recently started reading a book, Savage Inequalities by Jonathan Kozol, very good book. And he interviews students back then, probably 80s, 90s or so, and they feel a similar way as students might feel now. They might feel powerless, they might feel displaced, all that kind of stuff. They might just feel upset because they don't get the same opportunities as other students have, where to the ones that aren't closing down. And yeah, I don't really know. I just see all these people here tonight speaking about their schools, and I just came up here because it feels like I don't want you guys to base this off of how many people are speaking for a certain school, rather than the ones that aren't, pretty much. I think that's all.
Thank you.
Hello again. I was kind of, I didn't introduce myself last time, so I would like to introduce myself. My name is Clarence Martin. I have been advocating for Vallejo Unified School District for 12 years. There's no parent in this school district has put in more work than me. I have been in the schools every single day since I decided to bring my schools from Hayward Unified School District to Vallejo. Kindergarten, one son from kindergarten to 12th grade. He's graduated, he's out working, doing his thing. Got another kid, currently in the 11th grade. But I got 2 opposite kids who grew up in my house with only me. But I got 2 different results. So it's not the school district that's giving those results, because if that's the case, both of my kids would get the same result. It's other things in kids that they have in them that may steer them this way or that way. And the programs that are implemented inside of a school district helps the one that's going to the left to bring him back to the right way. People may say, and I want to clear this up so nobody can be able to say this, well, you don't got no kids at Lincoln Elementary School. No, I don't. I don't have no kids at Lincoln Elementary School. But those kids at Lincoln Elementary School are the kind of kids that I advocate for. The ones that don't know how to use their voice. I advocate for the parents who don't have the time to come and use their voice. Because you hear everybody coming in for all the schools, but you ain't heard nobody else coming here for Lincoln but me. Because I'm gonna speak for them. I'm gonna speak for every parent who feels the same way I do. I'm gonna speak for every support staff at that school that feels the same way I do. I'm gonna speak for every teacher that ever taught for the 163 years who doesn't want that school closed. I'm gonna speak for them today. I didn't make this choice on my own. This was a community choice. I went over to that school. I know the parents and where they come from to that school. The Marina Vistas, the Marina Heights, the downtown area, the historic district. Now, those kids need the most help out of any kid that is introduced into this school district. Those are the kids that need to be taught how to read, how to do math. So later on in life, they're able to make the right choices and the right decisions. And they don't have to ask somebody else, is this right? Now that I cleared that up, I have a couple questions. First question is, how much money is spent at Lincoln Elementary School on transportation? Anybody got the answer for that? I have the answer. What? You got an answer? I'd like to listen to yours first.
I don't have that information right now. Yeah, I can get back to you though. Yeah.
There's no need, because I have the answer. There's no bus that goes to Lincoln School. I don't think there's a bus that buses kids to that school. I don't believe there is. I've sat and watched. I've never seen it. Maybe a small bus, but not no big bus like that goes to the other school. So I'm willing to put my neck on the line and say the budget is lower than any school in the school district for transportation, because everybody lives in that neighborhood. Now, think Vallejo Unified School District first. Used to have 22,000 kids. We're down to 9,000. So there's this plan to consolidate schools or sell off schools or repurpose schools. Oh, I have a question for whoever would like to answer this. What happens when that time comes and we got 15,000 students and those schools are gone? Where are you gonna put the kids? Where are you gonna put the kids? Because what we're doing here is making our school district viable for the future, for when that time happens. What is the plan to re-grab our schools back if we didn't sell them off to have a place to put these kids?
I just want to clarify, we can't sell all the schools off.
I got you.
Because some schools specifically can't be sold because of how we've upgraded them, the bond money. There's some technical elements to that.
Right, I got you.
So we are actually quite limited on what schools can be sold.
Right.
So that we don't have that fear. We're not selling 5 schools, 6 schools. We're not doing that. We're going to keep our footprint, certain schools in play. We also still have space. So a district built for 22 or 23,000 at 9,600, we have room to grow. Even with school closures, we still have room to grow. So as long as those buildings are still ours, we do have time.
That's the key.
And one of the things we have heard throughout these meetings, the work we did in the summer, there is interest in the future about reestablishing another comprehensive middle school. Right now we have Hogan, and then we have K-8s.
Right.
I've heard a lot of information. Right across the street here was a middle school.
I went to that school.
Right. So there is energy in the future bringing back a middle school.
Right.
So we have 2 middle schools potentially serving the community. So we're not trying to shut all the doors to the future because we want that curve to go back up. We want to build, like I said, there are kids in the community.
They're here.
We need to get them back.
The reason why I asked the question, because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. who is thinking, well, wait a minute, if you're closing schools and you're going to sell them off and you want to get more kids, well, where are you going to put them? I'm not the only one that's going to have that question. So I just want to thank you guys again for your time and appreciate for letting me speak.
Thank you.
My name is Linda Kuykendall. Oh, I'm Linda Kuykendall. I am a homeowner right across the street from Cooper School. Okay.
Can you come closer? It's really hard to hear unless you're
Okay.
really close to the microphone.
Okay. So my question or my concern is the possibility of Cooper School, if it's closed, to incorporate the continuation high school. That's really confusing to me when I see the need for the beginning years of education as Cooper School. So I'm wondering, why would we stop the continuation school? What is it about that location that you don't want it to stay where it is?
Okay.
Is it just too many students now? You need something bigger?
No, so specifically, the continuation school currently is right across the street here.
Right.
John Finney Education Complex. It houses 5 separate different programs,
Okay.
totaling around 200 students. So it's not a size challenge, but that is a facility that gives us some opportunity to do different things with that facility. It's a facility that has not had the amount of bond dollars generated towards it, so it gives us some flexibility. So finding a new location for John Finney Education Complex will help us long-term with the flexibility of the properties. Cooper is what I had recommended as close Cooper, move John Finney, but there are other options as part of the battery or the scenarios that we're presenting.
I do recall you saying that in the previous meeting, and I can understand that, but when I received this flyer from Cooper School saying that the possibility of the continuation school, I think is still on the table.
Yes.
So that really concerns me. So how real is that possibility of the continuation school being moved over to Cooper School area?
It is one of the recommendations that I'm
hear you.
making ultimately, but as you saw, there were 7 different program schools on the list. Each one of those recommendations go to the school board, and ultimately they will make a decision on what they feel is the best version of that configuration.
Now, does John Finney Continuation School incorporate those buildings that used to be Vallejo Junior High? Or is it just that section that used to be an extension of Vallejo High?
And you can maybe, Heather, you can help me with this one. John Finney is on what used to be Vallejo Middle School or Junior High.
So the John Finney High School, the continuation program, is housed along with several other programs on that campus. It uses much of the campus. There's also a couple of other district resources there, like the district library is there, and the VEA president has an office there. So, but it uses that campus over the programs, and it does use the entire campus for different things. So for instance, Independent Study has a wing of that campus. Everest, which serves some students with extensive support needs through special education, they're served there. Adult transition programs. So it is, yes, there's the continuation high school, but there are several other programs that are served on that campus as well. And so those programs would likely move together.
Okay, so this same flyer being generated by Cooper School makes mention of those students that might be driving into the neighborhood. It's a housing neighborhood. I do not see how we can make that work when young people have another car in the family and they're driving to this neighborhood? Where are we going to put them? Is that a concern, a real concern for us as homeowners?
It wouldn't be any larger impact on the Cooper neighborhood than it is on the neighborhood where they currently are.
That's just my point.
I understand, but it's not a different impact. It's the same. The students at John Finney High School, there are just over 100 students in that program, and some of them may drive. I don't know how many drive and how many don't, but many walk, many are dropped off, many take the bus. It's not that you're going to need massive parking infrastructure to serve them as if in the way that you might see at Jesse Bethel that needs a large parking lot with 1,300 students. It's not that size of program. Okay. It's a much smaller program. The students who arrive to school each day who are part of the Everest program, the Extensive Support Needs program for special education, those students by and large are bused to the campus. So that would not impact the neighborhood parking situation. And I don't know the source of the flyer, but I don't believe it was a school-produced flyer. It may have been a parent community group-produced flyer.
Right.
So I can't speak to exactly what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's something else about it. Oh yeah, somebody addressed the fact that Cooper School has already improved on playground situations there. If we have older children associated with the continuation high school, will that be removed? And have you considered that expense if it has to be removed?
Yeah, that's a possibility that could be moved to another site. A lot of our school sites have received new playground structures recently.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, we'll have to repurpose that equipment if that's the choice that the board makes.
Okay, so you're saying that repurposing will, for the time being, mean that it will be housed, those structures would be housed, at a different site until it's repurposed?
It's possible it could be stored at one of our warehouse facilities or one of our facilities that could accommodate it before it could be moved to another program for students.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so last time I spoke at the last meeting, I brought up the issue of McKinley School, still there, still boarded up because I understand that it was not earthquake proof. Is it an asset on the school district budget?
So I'm going to ask Mr. Fernandez.
Did you say McKinney School?
McKinley.
The grant?
McKinley.
The grant school? No, not McKinney. I'm
No,
not familiar with
it's-
McKinney School being on our current list of assets.
Well, it's right there on Capitol, in the vicinity of the Little League field.
Is that
There you go, the former adult school. So I'm just curious, as you know,
right?
if there's a lot of homeless people hanging out. There's a railroad that used to go by the McKinley School, and why isn't it torn down or repurposed for something else? But of course, if it's not earthquake proof, why isn't it dealt with as an asset to the school district or the city of Vallejo? Whatever. Somebody's got to know this information.
That is something definitely we can research on that specific property. We do have different properties, for example, Rolling Wood, which is in the process of being sold to KB Homes for home development. This is something that we've been in the process for 4 years, still trying to finalize that. Unfortunately, that's been under escrow for all that time because of the hurdles we've had to address with some of the bureaucracy within the city and making sure we can move that along. And there's different partnerships we've built. There's leasing of facilities like the Franklin Middle School campus that was formerly Franklin Middle School. portions of that campus is leased to Greater Vallejo Recreation Department, so they can use it. And we were able to bring coming in January, a non-public school agency to provide services on the school side of that campus. So we are looking for all those opportunities. There, as Mr. Fernandez mentioned, there are different pots of money. Sometimes there's capital money that can be used for things to address some of those properties. We know that having all those different properties available does give us challenge. I heard someone mention the homeless encampment. Those things are real and things we're trying to address, but we have to address those in partnership with law enforcement and the city as well. And it's something we're very concerned with. We don't want to see blight. We don't want to see boarded up buildings that just sit there.
I just want to thank you all for representing the school district. And I really appreciate your time because I'm kind of embarrassed to disclose this, but I'm a late bloomer as to interacting with, even though I had children in the school district, I've had grandchildren in the school district. I no longer have that, and here I am, really interested as to what's happening in my neighborhood.
I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And
Trustee Flores, thank you for your Google support. McKinney School is a property that was sold, so it's no longer an asset of VCUSD.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ms. Brenda. I'm the after-school coordinator at Cooper. It's really hard, like they said, hearing everybody talk about their school. It's hard to see how all our families are suffering. Our kids are worried. I'm very passionate about our after-school program. My staff and I, my team, and I completely changed our after-school program. We've been focused more on academics, and like some other staff said, I'm very involved in the ELAC. I'm very involved in PTA, and I've said this at other 2 meetings. My staff came up with the idea to make the shirt Save Cooper because we really care about our community. We really care about our kids. So, Mr. Aurelio, I wanted to ask you, what made you want to push Cooper to be the site to get taken over by John Finney, or what made you?
When looking at the different options, Cooper as a location, proximity to one public transit, because John Finney kids, many of our kids do take public transit, and then there is public transit that goes right to the Cooper campus. So that's something that's has an impact. Trying to keep it on sort of this side of the Vallejo community. So we looked at the different locations, but like I said, it's not finalized, that determination, but you know, I go through all the different iterations. If John Finney go to a different site? In fact, the teacher even mentioned, I got an email today, a teacher is saying, well, why don't you send it to what was formerly the VCS site? So we have a lot of different options to look at, and we're going to present those scenarios to the governing board.
Because I was hearing you that you want every classroom to be used.
Yes.
You're talking about John Finney being at 200 students. Cooper is way bigger than that. Cooper, you could move another smaller school to Cooper and we would be able to fit. You could make Cooper into elementary and middle school like you did with Solano. You have a lot of other options. Because I know you guys are planning on how you guys are gonna move kids around, bus them around, 360 something kids, and we still continue to get more kids because we're an overflow school. Have you guys thought about how is this gonna affect the parents that don't drive? Are you guys planning on how are you gonna get parents to go pick up the kids that are sick and that they don't have a car? What are you gonna do with 3-4 students in the main office sitting there because parents don't have a car, don't have money to get an Uber or a taxi? What are you guys planning on doing regarding that problem? Do you guys have a budget for that? I'm wondering, is that in your guys' plans? Or are you gonna have our office staff at every different school become a childcare and take care of the kids till the bus gets there and takes them back home? I'm just wondering if you guys are thinking about all these issues. You guys are losing a lot of kids. Yes, you guys are losing a lot of kids. But I don't know if you guys have noticed that you lose these kids once they get out of elementary. Most of your elementary students are going to MIT, Griffin, all your charter schools. I think that is our biggest issue and that is our biggest question. Why are we losing kids once they go to middle school? Maybe you guys could start thinking about that. Use our big campuses, Highland, Cooper, even Federal Terrace, you have up to 6th grade. Why don't you guys start looking into that? Making use of your sites and figuring out a way to get all our kids that we're losing during middle school to get them back to Vallejo Unified School District. Because like everybody's saying and being honest, that's exactly what I did. As soon as my kids got out of elementary, I took them to MIT. But then I started working at MIT and I saw everything behind that we don't see.
Right.
So why don't we start working on that instead of you choosing to close all these? I know it's hard. I know it's really hard to make these decisions. I know we're not looking at the numbers because we don't see the numbers. As parents, as teachers, we worry about our students, we worry about our kids. But I hear you guys talking about all these plans that you will make in the future. They continue to ask you, where are your guys' plans? So now I'm asking you, we are a very low income. What are your plans to get parents to be able to go pick up those students when they're sick? What are you guys gonna do? All those parents from Federal Terrace, that all the kids walk. If 20 students get sick, how are you gonna get them home? Because the parents can't drive. So please start looking into your budget and thinking about that too.
And you bring up really good points, and I appreciate
And if you
that.
move John Finney to Cooper Elementary, you're basically gonna not be using half of that property. So it would be a waste, a really big waste. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think you're our last one.
So, why do you want to close these schools?
Well, I'm going to say I don't want to. I really don't want to. That's not what I want to do. Nobody up here, no one sitting down, nobody wants to. We might have to.
Well, Cooper is a good community. It keeps you safe and has great teachers and great people.
Thank you for that.
And also, we don't need to have this. We don't need to have. Because if this even happened, we don't need to be here. If we did, then some of it will be gone. And if we waste some of the place and we trying to put a different school, and you're wasting your money. And if you are having a good time at the school and the school is shut down, that wouldn't be very good. And if that would, and then everybody will be done. The whole school will be like done. Then everything else will be gone. It'll just be a different school.
Thank you. So just to wrap up, I do appreciate hearing all of you this evening. I do understand the stress the community is feeling, the school community is feeling, our employees are feeling. We're all feeling lots of stress around this situation, and we will do better. I know we need to do better for our community. Like I said, we pushed an aggressive timeline because we want to have the time to make sure we do a better job if we do close schools, so our families aren't feeling the frantic nature that could happen they need to know what are the options if their school does close, what are the options for our employees as well. And that is why we've pushed a pretty aggressive timeline to have a decision, so we don't go into next calendar year and limit what we can do by that point. So I ask that you stay engaged. I ask that you follow us, see the communication we've been sending. I hope you're all receiving those communications. You can follow us. We update our information constantly, so if anything changes, you can see it. The next major meeting is our December 17th board meeting, which is, should say Wednesday, December 17th. We do have a study session. This is an optional study session to determine with the school board. That would be, I want to say December 10th, am I right? Yes, December 10th. But going back to that December 17th meeting, we have a feeling we're going to get a lot of people at that meeting, which is, we hope we get our community. So we're going to move that off of our traditional board meeting over on Merrill Island to the Hogan Theater to make sure we have enough space for everyone who wants to come out for that meeting. So please note that. As far as, like I said, the QR code, that takes you to our website where all the information is held. We also have different platforms for communication, different ways for you to follow and continue to get and receive the information that we provide. In addition to the information you receive from school sites, you also can get information from our district. I appreciate you all being here this evening. I know it was a long night. Thank you. Take care.
Oh, I have no idea.